I was going to wait until the season finished before I made a video about it, but a lot went down in this episode. So here's my thoughts on The Mandalorian Chapter 13, The Jedi. I thought this episode was awesome. I was a huge fan of the introduction to the live action Ahsoka Tano, and I really liked the backstory they gave for Baby Yoda or the child, or now we know his name as Grogu. So Ahsoka Tano in live action looked exactly how I imagined she was going to look. She looked perfect and basically looked as if she's jumped right out of the Clone Wars, while also looking photorealistic. It was awesome, and Rosario Dawson did amazing in the role. The action sequences with her were awesome, and it was really cool to see her use the lightsabers, which I thought looked great in the show. And it shows that lightsabers can look great on the TV shows, because I thought they looked a bit better than they did in the movies recently. I don't know, maybe if it was the colour of them, but they just popped off the screen every time they were on, and it was great. And watching her just mow down these people at the start showed how great of a fighter she is, and actually done a great job of showing how powerful this Jedi is, and made her stand apart from most characters in this TV show. When she first met the Mando as well, it was great to see that her lightsaber bounced off the Beskar steel, and I think that's going to hint to something like maybe he's going to fight Moff Gideon, and the dark saber is going to be the same, not being able to penetrate the Beskar. I thought it was awesome, and it was just with our first meeting, I got goosebumps because it was like the live action is crossing over with the animation, even though Ahsoka is like live action in it. But it was just great because it was like they're finally kind of acknowledging the Clone Wars a bit more, and I feel like the Clone Wars have kind of been, apart from season 7, I feel like they've just not really been acknowledged recently by Disney. So it was great that we had this like good tie-in between the original trilogy and the Clone Wars with the Mando meeting Ahsoka. When Ahsoka finally met Grogu as well, it was such a nice scene, and it was just that way, like she acknowledged who he was, he acknowledged who she was, and it was just this nice wee bond that both of them had. But the fact that like she refused to train him because of his attachment to Mando, and she's like, I've only seen this happen. I've seen this happen with a Jedi Knight before, and it led to something bad. Obviously, referring to Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. So it was great to see like Darth Vader get a wee reference as well. But I just thought the scene with Ahsoka and Grogu was directed perfectly by Dave Filoni, and you can tell how much he loves Ahsoka, just with how amazing he made her in this episode. I was a huge fan of it. I'm actually really liking this whole episodic route again in season 2. I think it fits perfectly for the show. Like each episode is a new adventure and just jumps right into it, but it also has consequences from what's happened in the episodes before. A lot of people aren't huge fans of it, but personally, I really like it, and I hope we continue this route for the show because it works very well. And obviously, you have Moff Gideon who's also hunting them down, so you have that in the background. But you also have a nice new story every episode, and I really like it. Also, Thrawn gets name dropped, and I am so excited for that. I liked him in Rebels, and I loved the Thrawn graphic novel that I've read as well. Such an awesome character, and I'm so glad they've brought him into canon because he was great in Legends as well. And I'm so excited. I hope we finally see him in Mando. It might be a separate thing, but if they bring him into Mandalorian, and maybe he's like the head, so we think Moff Gideon's the main villain, but it's not. It's actually Thrawn. I think something like that's going to go down, and I'm really excited for it because Thrawn is just such a cool villain, and I hope if they do him justice, and I hope they cast someone who's really good as him. Personally, I would always like Benedict Cumberbatch as him, but I don't see that happening for Mandalorian, but that is my fan cast for it. But I hope they do it very well, because I am so excited if they bring him into it. So at the end, when Ahsoka tells Mando to go to the old Jedi temple and basically put Grogu at the top of it, and hopefully a Jedi will reach out to him and he'll decide whether he wants to be trained or not. I think they're either going to bring in Ezra or Cal Kestis. I think it's going to be either one of those, or it could even be Luke Skywalker. But I don't know if they bring Luke Skywalker into it. I would love that for to happen, but they would either have to like recast him or just de-age Mark Hamill, and I do think he would come back for it. But I don't know if they'd go that route. Maybe they'd want to keep it more separate from that part. But it would be great if they brought in like Ezra Bridger or Cal Kestis, because I feel like if they brought one of those two in, it would be such an awesome storyline, especially if it was Ezra, because it would make it basically a live action Rebel show, and basically hunting down Thrawn and Moff Gideon would be amazing. But I wonder how it will be, and I feel like this episode has brought up a lot of questions, but we're also answering a lot of other questions, but it's got you speculating, and it's got me speculating, especially in for what I think might happen in future, maybe in the later in the season or in later seasons. But it's just opened up a lot more possibilities for the Mandalorian and raised a lot more questions while answering a lot of the ones I've had in season 1. So overall, I really enjoyed this episode, and it gave us a lot of answers while also raising a lot more questions and leaving room for a lot of speculation for what can either happen later in the season or in later seasons. So let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to happen? Because personally, I really don't know. I have a lot of speculation, and there's just so many possibilities I think this episode's open up. They could bring in Luke Skywalker, they could bring in Ezra, they could bring in Cal. Can go so many different ways. But let me know what you think is going to happen. And what did you think of this episode and live action Ahsoka Tano and also Grogu's backstory? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it? Or would you maybe have rather waited a bit before we found out who Grogu actually was? Just let me know in the comments down below. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And like I said, let me know what you think is going to happen and what you thought of the episode. And also, if you like this video, guys, be sure to check out my other videos if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Next week, I'm thinking about making an episode of who is Thrawn and giving a bit of backstory. I think that'd be a good idea. And let me know if you'd like to see that. So like I said, thanks a lot for watching, guys. And I hope to see you in the next video.